This narrow strip of water is only 21 miles wide at its narrowest point, yet it controls the fate of the entire global economy. Every single day, 1/5 of the world's oil passes through here. If this waterway closes, gas prices explode overnight, stock markets crash within hours, wars could begin within days. This is the Strait of Hormuz, the most strategically important choke point on planet Earth. On one side stands Iran, ready to close it at any moment. On the other side stands the United States Navy, ready to keep it open at any cost. This is why the world's two greatest rivals are ready to fight over it. The Strait of Hormuz connects the Persian Gulf to the Gulf of Oman and the open Arabian Sea beyond. It separates Iran to the north from Oman and the United Arab Emirates to the south. At its narrowest point, it's only 21 miles wide, but the shipping lanes are even tighter, just 2 miles wide in each direction. Every day, roughly 20 million barrels of oil pass through this tiny gap. That's nearly 25% of all oil traded by sea globally. Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, Qatar, and the UAE all depend on this single passage to export their oil. If it closes, the world economy suffocates immediately. The modern world runs on oil. Every car, plane, ship, factory, and power plant depends on it. The Persian Gulf region contains nearly half of the world's proven oil reserves, and almost all of it must pass through the Strait of Hormuz to reach global markets. Japan imports 80% of its oil through this strait. South Korea depends on it almost entirely. China and India are increasingly reliant on Persian Gulf oil. Even Europe and the United States feel the effects when tanker traffic slows. A disruption here doesn't just affect one country. It triggers a global economic earthquake that shakes every nation on Earth. Iran sits on the northern shore of the Strait of Hormuz, controlling hundreds of miles of coastline. Its territory includes islands directly inside the strait itself. Iran views the strait as its greatest strategic asset and its most powerful weapon. If threatened, Iran has repeatedly promised to close the strait entirely. Iranian leaders have said clearly, if Iran cannot export its own oil due to sanctions, then no one will export oil through these waters. Iran has built a massive arsenal specifically designed for this purpose. Fast attack boats, anti-ship missiles, naval mines, and drone swarms. They don't need to defeat the U.S. Navy. They just need to make passage impossible. Iran knows it cannot defeat the United States in a conventional war. American technology and firepower are simply overwhelming. So Iran developed a different strategy: asymmetric warfare. Instead of building aircraft carriers and stealth fighters, Iran invested in thousands of small, fast attack boats armed with missiles and torpedoes. They built extensive coastal missile batteries that can strike ships from hidden positions along the shore. They manufactured thousands of naval mines that can be deployed quickly and secretly. They developed armed drones that can swarm targets in overwhelming numbers. Iran's strategy isn't to win a naval battle. It's to make the strait so dangerous that no one dare send tankers through. The United States has maintained a massive military presence in the Persian Gulf for decades. The U.S. Fifth Fleet is headquartered in Bahrain, just miles from the strait. American aircraft carriers regularly patrol these waters. American fighter jets fly overhead constantly. Why does America care so much about a waterway thousands of miles from its shores? Because disruption here means economic chaos everywhere. Even though America produces much of its own oil today, global oil prices affect American consumers immediately. More importantly, American allies in Europe and Asia depend on Gulf oil completely. Protecting the strait isn't just about oil. It's about maintaining American global power and influence. The Strait of Hormuz has been a flashpoint for decades. During the Iran-Iraq War in the 1980s, both sides attacked oil tankers in what became known as the Tanker War. The United States intervened directly to protect shipping. In 1988, the U.S. Navy accidentally shot down an Iranian civilian airliner, killing all 290 passengers. Iran has never forgotten. Tensions escalated again in 2019 when Iran seized British tankers and attacked others with mines and drones. American drones have been shot down. Iranian generals have been assassinated. Every few months, a new incident brings the world closer to war. The strait remains a powder keg waiting to explode. Understanding the strait requires understanding sanctions. The United States has imposed crippling economic sanctions on Iran for decades. These sanctions target Iran's oil exports, its banking system, and its ability to trade globally. Iran's economy has suffered enormously. Inflation has skyrocketed. Unemployment has spread. The Iranian currency has collapsed. Iran views these sanctions as economic warfare, an attempt to strangle the country without firing a single shot. From Iran's perspective, if America can destroy Iran's economy with sanctions, then Iran can destroy the global economy by closing the strait. The logic is simple and terrifying. If we cannot sell our oil, nobody sells their oil. If Iran closes the Strait of Hormuz, the consequences would be immediate and catastrophic. Oil prices would double or triple within days. Gas stations worldwide would see prices explode. Airlines would ground flights. Shipping costs would skyrocket. Factories would shut down. Recessions would begin within weeks. Countries dependent on Gulf oil would face genuine energy crises. Japan and South Korea would be desperate within months. Europe would scramble for alternatives. Even countries that don't use Gulf oil would suffer because global oil markets are interconnected. A closure wouldn't just hurt enemies of Iran, it would devastate the entire global economy, including countries that have nothing to do with the conflict. For American military planners, the Strait of Hormuz is a nightmare. The waterway is narrow, shallow, and surrounded by Iranian territory. American aircraft carriers, designed for open ocean warfare, become vulnerable targets in these confined waters. Iran's coastal missiles could strike ships from multiple directions simultaneously. Thousands of naval mines could be deployed overnight, requiring months to clear safely. Iranian fast attack boats could swarm American vessels in overwhelming numbers. Even American technological superiority cannot guarantee a quick, clean victory in this environment. Any war in the strait would be bloody, expensive, and potentially catastrophic. This is exactly why Iran has invested everything in this strategy. The strait crisis is directly connected to Iran's nuclear program. The United States and Israel believe Iran is developing nuclear weapons capability. Iran insists its program is peaceful. Negotiations have repeatedly failed. The 2015 nuclear deal briefly reduced tensions, but America withdrew in 2018 and reimposed sanctions. Since then, Iran has accelerated its uranium enrichment significantly. If Iran obtains nuclear weapons, the strait equation changes dramatically. A nuclear-armed Iran could threaten the strait with far greater confidence, knowing that direct military intervention becomes almost impossible. This is why Israel and America have threatened military strikes against Iran's nuclear facilities, and this is why Iran threatens to close the strait in response. America and Iran aren't the only players in this dangerous game. China imports massive amounts of oil through the Strait of Hormuz. Any closure directly threatens Chinese economic growth and stability. China has increasingly supported Iran diplomatically while also wanting to avoid conflict that disrupts its oil supply. Russia, meanwhile, benefits from strait tensions. Higher oil prices help Russia's economy. Instability in the Gulf strengthens Russia's position as an alternative energy supplier to Europe. Russia has sold weapons to Iran and supported it diplomatically against American pressure. The strait isn't just an American-Iranian issue. It's a chessboard where global superpowers compete for advantage and influence. In recent years, tensions have escalated dangerously. In 2020, the United States assassinated Iran's top general, Qasem Soleimani, in a drone strike. Iran retaliated by launching missiles at American bases in Iraq. Both sides pulled back from the brink, but barely. Since then, Iranian-backed groups have attacked shipping repeatedly. Drones and missiles have struck Saudi oil facilities. American warships have intercepted Iranian weapons shipments. The cycle of provocation and response continues endlessly. Each incident risks miscalculation. Each miscalculation risks escalation. Each escalation risks war. The question is no longer whether tensions will continue. The question is whether anyone can stop them before it's too late. Is there any way to avoid catastrophe? Diplomacy has failed repeatedly. Sanctions haven't changed Iranian behavior. Military threats haven't deterred Iranian aggression. Some experts argue that only a comprehensive deal addressing nuclear weapons, sanctions, and regional security can reduce tensions permanently. Others believe conflict is inevitable eventually. The fundamental problem remains unchanged. Iran sees the strait as its ultimate leverage against American pressure. America sees keeping the strait open as non-negotiable for global stability. Neither side can back down without appearing weak. Neither side wins actual war. But neither side is willing to compromise either. The world watches nervously as two enemies circle each other endlessly. 21 miles of water, 20 million barrels of oil every day. Two enemies who refuse to back down. The Strait of Hormuz isn't just a geographic location. It's the pressure point where global economics meets geopolitical rivalry, where American power confronts Iranian defiance, where the world's energy supply hangs by a thread. One mistake, one miscalculation, one overreaction could trigger a war that devastates the global economy overnight. For now, tankers continue passing through, American warships continue patrolling, Iranian missiles continue pointing. The world continues hoping that today won't be the day everything changes. This is Historiopedia, history that feels real.